Coming up, does more money really make us happier? And I'm going to give you a tip on how to speed up your career. We'll take your calls and your chats, and it all starts right now. I am coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville, and you are joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do that, and then how to get there. It is about your purpose, and your purpose is about others. Your why is about others, specifically filling that unique role, that contribution that you were created to make. In other words, there are people in this world who need you to show up and be you. This is why people long to help people, to make a difference in their lives. We are all wired to contribute. So when we don't feel we're making that contribution, we don't feel that significance that we long for. And so when we chase that specificity, that significant contribution that we're supposed to make, success and satisfaction will follow that. So that's what we want to help you do here on the program. So welcome. Hey, while you're watching the program here, give us a thumbs up if you enjoy the conversation, and subscribe and share if you feel like it'll help somebody that you know and you want to stay in this community. 844-747-2577. 844-747-2577. That's the number to jump in. Would love to talk with you. Also, you can submit your question via the chat room, or that chat window rather, and those will come to my computer. So feel free to jump in there. Does money and more of it really make us happy? This article from Harvard Business Review contained some recent data, a new study from the University of British Columbia. They assessed graduating students, over 1,000, and essentially measured whether they value time over money or money over time. The majority of students reported prioritizing time, but not by much. 40% reported prioritizing money. So what they did was they looked at the student's level of happiness prior to graduation and then a year down the line. They found that students who prioritized money ended up less happy a year after graduation compared to their classmates who chose to prioritize time. Now, that does not in any way mean that you should turn down a raise because there is equal evidence, mountains and mountains of evidence, that on average, people who are wealthier are happy, but it's not making a lot of money, or in other words, it's not the level of your salary that boosts your happiness. It's how you spend, save, and think about money that actually shapes the joy. They recently surveyed 500 people in the United Kingdom. It showed that the amount of money that we see in our checking and savings accounts impacts our happiness more than our incomes specifically. So when you see a low number every time you go to the bank, or you see no savings, that can make you feel worse. So the idea here is that money, which we all know, I think inherently we know that money does not drive our happiness. However, does it affect it? Yes, because there is a difference between happiness and joy. Happiness being the emotion, a temporary emotion, whereas joy is a mindset. So it's really important to understand this stuff, because it's not always about money, and it should not always be about money, but there can be plenty of money. Plenty being the operating word. We talk about that a lot on this program. And so we need to understand that the way we use our time in our work, in our relationships, so the personal side, the professional side, how we use our time efficiently and then on purpose really drives that prolonged sense of happiness. So this is why going to a job every Monday that you can't stand, or maybe it's not that visceral of an emotion, but maybe it's just, I have no connection at all. It's just a job. Well, think about how much time you spend at work in a given day, a week, a month, and a year. And if it is not a worthy investment of your time, then yes, it will affect your happiness. And that's why we talk so much about doing something that you're good at, doing something that you love, and creating a result that matters deeply to you. This is significance. This is meaning. And this is what drives happiness. So make sure you really understand the pursuit of money is never going to be the issue that truly gives you that happiness. It is about how you use your time. These students are saying, 60% said we value time over money. And it's not just time in the sense of time, it's how you spend the time. I want to spend my time wisely. I want to spend my time on things that create lasting memories and lasting value. And work can be a part of that contribution if, again, you're in your sweet spot, using what you do best to do work you love to produce a result that matters to you. 844-747-2577 is the number, 844-747-2577. Let's start it off in Newman, Illinois. Adrian is there. Adrian, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thank you so much for having me on today.
You bet. How can I help?
Okay, so to make a long story short, like many others, I was affected by COVID-19 in March. I went from full-time to working 10 hours a week per what I was allowed. And then, so I was on the job market, and I found one that I absolutely fell in love with. But now I am in another problem. I'm in my third year of college, and I'm almost done, and they're fast-tracking me for the next year, so that means I need to cut back on hours. But that'll put me at a deficit of around $300 a month, so I can't continue with what I'm doing the way I'm doing it. So my second option is I can work for our family farm. It'll be a little bit better with school, and it'll be a little bit higher of a pay. I'm just kind of stuck in that emotional spot of what to do because I have connections with each one of my clients because I'm a home care aide now and have been with almost all of them since April.
Got it. Well, what's the big picture? What's the big picture when you get out of college? Where do you want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
So I'm actually going to school for social work. I either want to be a social worker within like the DCFS area or be able to do some kind of outreach program for children who need it, or even a school social worker would be perfect.
Yeah. Well, I think the answer based on that long-term goal is pretty simple. I think you do what's best in the now that helps set you up for the next. And working on the family farm is the best option, unless I'm missing something. Am I right? Is that clearly the best? Other than you're emotionally connected to these patients.
And so far I've been able to cash flow my whole way through college. I've been listening to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Good for you.
And your show since I was 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
That's thanks to my boyfriend. So I have cash flowed my whole way through school. So I'm hoping that by taking the new position actually on his farm, that I'm able to continue to do that.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the absolute best move because it's more money and it's going to be easier on your schedule to finish the schooling, which is so vital to your future.
Okay.
It's a no-brainer. And listen, you're not a bad person. The reason you called is essentially you needed me to tell you you're not a jerk. You're not a bad person. You're not leaving these patients that you've been caring for and you've created a connection with them. You're not leaving them hanging. They're going to be okay. Somebody else is going to take care of them. And the reason that you called is because you're just such a good-hearted person. And I love that about you. But you got to do what's best for you so that you can serve the people that you ultimately want to serve. So when you start to feel guilt, you need to think about those children that you want to help down the road. And you may be the only person that can get through to them. For some of those kids, you're going to be a lifesaver. And so you have to focus on them. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you're great, Adrian. Thank you so much for the call. 844-747-2577. Let's go to Salina, Kansas next. Sean joins us there. Sean, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Well, thanks for taking my call.
You bet. How can I help?
Well, I'm in a route sales job, and with the COVID pressure, of course, like so many other people, things are changing, and they've been closing different things down and all that. Anyways, it looks like my landscape is changing. And so I'm looking to move from my sales into maybe something like logistics or purchasing agent or something like that, where I can still use my sales skills, but I'll have more of a better office hours type position.
Okay.
It speaks to my heart a little more.
Okay, good.
So anyways, my question is, I've been working your resume. I've got that done, and I've sent that off to a company and all that. Well, I just can't. I've only connected with one person at that company, and it's not somebody that's directly in the field I'm looking into getting into. So I don't know exactly how I would go about doing that, or what would you suggest?
Well, the first thing I would ask is that person who works in the company, say, hey, do you know anybody over in purchasing or logistics? Did you do that?
Yeah, and they don't. That was the issue. He's a web developer actually that works for that company.
Well, so next question is, who does he know on his team? So it would be, this is the exercise. You essentially ask your buddy, how many people do you know in the company? And let's say he says, I know 20 people fairly well. So do any of those 20 people know somebody over in purchasing and logistics? That's the next connection. So that's that second degree there. Okay. And then the third degree, because if he says yes, then you say, hey, will you be willing to ask your friend on the team if they would essentially vouch for your impression of me, your relationship with me, and would they be willing to connect me directly with the person over in that I want to get in front of? So I mean, it's a third degree. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
That's listen. There's no way around this, because if you don't try this, then you're essentially, playing the lottery, which it does work. People get hired. But what I'm trying to do is increase your odds. And so you just want that person to hear something really good about you prior to or around the same time that you actually go through the application process. Does that answer your question?
Okay. Yeah, that helped out a lot, actually.
But I would tell you this. I would ask you rather than tell you, how many times or how many other people have you tried to find within your community to see if there's another connection that you might have that you're unaware of?
Yeah, I've talked to almost everybody that I that come in contact with about the company. And
are you qualified? Are you qualified for this job that you want, the purchasing logistics job?
Well, I'm qualified on the sales half of it. I think as far as the logistics, there's some certificates that I need to get, and I've already looked into those. They're anywhere from $150 just to take the test, or if I want materials and all that, it can go up to $1,000 for a bundle deal.
I would tell you that I think you need to do that first before you really try to work these. It doesn't help you if you work these connections and relationships and you don't have the qualifications yet. So if you're going to be able to get those quickly, will you be able to get that quickly and drop for the $1,000 and get that in your belt around the same time that you're doing all this connecting?
Yeah, and I guess that was another question I did have too about the certifications, is that I don't necessarily know where to go to get them. I know what they are, but our Votech school locally doesn't have them. And so I guess I would have to look somewhere online. And how do you know if it's going to be a good, person or, college or whatever to take the certifications from? Yeah,
well, there's two questions there. Number one, yes, there are going to be tons of ways for you to get that training online. And the way you're going to find out if it's a legit online training course or whatever is the same way you do anytime you buy anything else of worth. What was the last big expenditure that you made? Or sizable?
Car, I think.
Yeah, well, did you do research on the car? What'd you buy?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did do research on the car.
So same way.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. You find 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever online courses, then you go do your homework. Do you realize it's 2020? Do you realize if somebody's done a crappy job, and even many times when they do a really good job, there's always 3 or 4 really bad apples? My favorite of these Amazon book reviews. You'll see like 500 5-star or 4-star reviews, and then you'll see some idiot that gives you a 1-star or does a 1-star. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's not difficult in today's world to find out a pattern of shysterism or something that's just not well done. So this is not difficult. Please don't build this up in your mind. I'm trying to kind of demystify. It's not difficult for you to find solid programs out there and then verify that they are in fact solid. That's not hard. You know that. That's probably an hour to 2 hours worth of research. Max.
Right.
Right?
All right.
So get after
very
it.
much, Ken.
Hey, brother, listen.
I will.
Sean, you got this, man. You just got to commit.
Yeah.
I sense a little bit of doubt, and you got to replace doubt with determination. Say, you know what? I can get there. I will get there. That becomes your mantra. That's what I'm saying every day. When I start to feel the voice of doubt, say, nope, I can get there. I'm going to get there. You understand what I'm saying, Sean?
I do, Ken. I do.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for calling. Thank you for listening and watching the show. 844-747-2577. 844-747-2577. Let's see here. Let's go to the chat room real quick. The phone lines are lighting up. So I tell you what, the phone lines are lighting up, and I like this. And so we're gonna get to the back to the phones here. Let's go next to Kalamazoo, Michigan. Great. Nicole is there. Nicole, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What's going on?
So my question is regarding what to do for work in the next 7 years. We're kind of in an overwhelmed season. My husband and I have a dream of owning a farm and a bed and breakfast combination. We are on baby step 2, and we have $18,000 of debt. We're working those 10 jobs between our full-time and all the side gigs that we're working. And we plan to have worked through the Ramsey steps and have our youngest child graduated by 2027. Then we'll be free to either go and travel and work at a bed and breakfast first and then transition into buying, or just buy a new home and be ready to open up our farm bed and breakfast.
Okay.
I need flexibility in my schedule for at least a few more years because of my kids.
Yeah.
That's why I substitute teach.
Okay.
And so I have some options that I would just wanted to throw out there for you and see what you thought.
I love options. Give me how many do we have?
3.
Okay, let's go. Number 1.
One is to continue where we're at. He works as a diesel mechanic full time, and I substitute teach. And then we are doing we do cleaning, we do door dashing, I do organizing. He does fix-it jobs for people. So we could do that, but it's just a very scattered schedule. I get burnout.
How many hours would you say you guys are working in all those jobs?
So he works 40 hours, and I would say that I do that and more. He works 40 hours on his full-time job.
Right.
And then on top of that, we haven't really calculated out the hours, but we are, making our regular income before COVID and my sub job kind of shut down.
Wow. So you're both putting in, he's putting in at least 50 and you're putting in how many hours a week?
I would say about the same.
Okay, good grief. Okay, got it.
And so we have 4 kids. This is a second marriage for both of us, but we have our kids every other week. So on those no kid weeks, we're just trying to bust it and get as many hours as we can.
Yeah.
But for the first time, I'm hearing my kids say, "You're never home." That's twice I've heard that, and that is not. I was a stay-at-home mom for most of their lives. You know.
I got it.
And so, yeah.
Okay.
So that's one option that we continue.
Right. Option 2.
The other one is that we both have had side businesses that have never really come to more than being a hobby. I did mine while I was at home, with the kids, which is a home organizing business. And he does a fix-it, odd jobs type business. So I thought about the idea of rebranding that and combining that together into a home coaching business. Where we do organizing and we do the fix-it stuff around the house for people, but then we also add financial coaching, basic budgeting, that kind of thing that we're learning with Ramsey, and then adding menu planning, calendar planning, bringing in some people with the other specialties. I work with a couple people like that right now, and it's just fulfilling, and it's something that we can do. I'm just concerned about putting in the time because we're looking at a 7-year span.
Yeah.
So is it worth it to rebrand, or do we just kind of keep, using that as a side gig when they roll in?
Yeah. Now, hold on. I want to ask a quick question for clarification, just so I'm staying up with you. The 7-year span, that is what you're saying is the combination of paying off the debt plus the kids being at an age where you guys can go after the dream. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right.
Because you're paying off the debt much quicker than 7 years.
For sure.
Okay.
That's like doing the debt, getting the 6 months, getting the retirement all set up. and just continuing to build our financial state up until till the kids are graduated.
Because you're going to be in baby step 3 when? What's the projection? I mean, you got the 6-month emergency fund in the bank.
Yep. So right now, with the subbing thing, we had to we didn't shut down at all, but we just have to keep our emergency fund there until everything gets back full time. So we're down to pretty much 18 months of paying off that. But it's going to go faster than that. I know that.
Right. So I'm just trying to get a picture. So 18 months for debt, and then how much longer to get the emergency fund?
So if we were moving at just a regular rate, not exactly gazelle intense, I think that I had
just ballpark. I'm not trying
32, 2032 I had planned in here, but that was an older.
That's not true.
Yeah, so I would say
no.
We have. So that was. I'm sorry. I wrote that down with a bunch of, with all.
Hold
the
on.
stuff
Slow down. So slow down. So I'm trying to help you, but I'm just trying to get in order for me to give you what I think is best option, I just need to get a timeline. In 18 months from now, you're going to be debt free, is what you're anticipating. Maybe sooner, but that's the longest it's going to take. Correct?
That's correct.
Well, then it's not going to take that much longer for you to get 3 to 6 months. Expenses in the bank.
So I was shooting for the 6 months, and so
okay. So let's call it 24 months. So 2 years from now, at the latest, you are going to be debt free, and the emergency fund is there. Okay, that's all I needed to know. 2 years. All right. Okay. So now, what's option 3?
Option 3 is that I would look for a full-time job. Like all these side benefits for me don't have benefits, aren't contributing to Social Security, don't have a retirement plan, nothing. So it's basically just the cash I'm taking away. Plus I'm paying my insurance on my own.
All right. What are you making? What do you make with all these jobs? Just you personally. What are you bringing home?
About 30.
Okay. And what would be, let's just cut out passion and mission. I'm not saying you have to. Well, let's just focus on talent to get you the best paying job possible, just based on talent, because this is all about biting a stick and gutting this out. What would be the job that you think would be most marketable for that could make you the most money?
I haven't really researched as far. I mean, I think that if I get another job outside of subbing, which is anywhere, it just ranges. Like last year, I made $33,000.
Yeah.
But next year that could be different, and so then the wage drops down. I mean, I have a sociology degree. I have a bachelor's degree in sociology and social work, but I'm not looking to work in that field. So I was thinking like hospitality.
Okay, great. So if you got a full-time job, so we at least we want to try to make 35, right? Full-time job. Let's just say that. Okay. Okay, I can tell you right now, option 2 is not a good move for you guys right now. It's too much.
Okay.
It's gonna
option 2 of rebranding.
Yeah, you gave me 3 options. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Option 2, which is combining your side hustle and your husband's side hustle and rebranding, that's going to end up becoming a distraction, and I don't think it's going to generate the money that you need it to generate. Right now, it's like the more money you make right now, the better. But we want to be efficient in how we make it, correct?
Yes.
Because the kids are going, hey, I don't see you, Mom, and that's going to end up hurting your heart, and that would slow you down.
Correct.
I don't think substitute teaching is a great play for you either, because it just doesn't pay that much. You know what I mean? And it's kind of here and kind of there. I like 3, the full-time job for you, to create a little bit more stability and potentially make more money. So you're not having to commit to this, but I think it's the option I want you to try. We can find a really good, stable full-time job, maybe making 40 or whatever. That could really help from a benefit standpoint, save you all some money, get you into kind of a rhythm. And if anything, on the side hustle side of things, if you've got some extra hours during the weeks that the kids aren't with you, maybe you're helping the hubs with the fix-it stuff. Do you know what I mean? Where maybe you get more done. Maybe you're an extra set of hands. Maybe he can take on a few more jobs because you're project managing his jobs for him. I don't know. I like the idea of that. I just don't think home organizing and all that is going to generate that much revenue. That'd be my take. So I like the full-time job. And then, again, on the weeks that the kids aren't with you, picking up an odd job here or there, like a part-time job, the weeks that they aren't there, where you're delivering DoorDash or whatever. I like that option. So full-time for you, and then a part-time job in the weeks that your kids aren't with you. That's going to bring you full-time job. Sorry. That's option 3. Do you remember you gave it to me?
Yeah, with full-time, do you think I should go in towards the dream job in hospitality, or you think I should pound away as much money in 7 years, no matter what it is?
Part of me says no matter what it is, just stock the money away. But I love the idea of you working in the hospitality industry so that you're getting paid to learn how to eventually run your own business. I love that idea.
Okay.
But my point is in the weeks where you don't have the kids, that's where you can go harder. And you can get up and keep that part-time, just a part-time job that brings in extra money, and it's all going towards debt. Let me tell you something right now. You told me you had $18,000 left. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
You guys can easily beat that down in less than 18 months.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, you can. If nothing else, what if you're out there selling and getting more fixer-upper jobs for your hubs? You know what I mean? During those off weeks, you're out there laboring, you guys can make some more money. What if he goes and renovates a kitchen, or he does a bathroom for somebody or whatever, and he can make some big chunks of cash? I mean, there's no reason to believe he couldn't take on a project for somebody and make $3,000 in 1 week. Mm-hmm. Am I right?
Yes. I don't think he's up to the level of like doing a whole kitchen or anything. He does like minor fix-it type jobs and mechanic jobs, but the mechanics, yeah.
Okay. So what if he starts doing more mechanic work? There's good money in mechanic work.
Yes.
So he goes in and starts helping fix people's cars or whatever. He takes on a couple side projects, so it's more mechanical then. But again, if he starts making an extra $1,000, $2,000 a week, certainly on those weeks where you don't have the kids, and he's got himself loaded with 3 different jobs, he might make $2,000 or $3,000 in a week. You know, I'm not making that up.
Right.
Well, how quickly does that knock out $18,000? How quickly does that build up the emergency fund? I think it's option 3 for you, and you guys are going to get there way quicker than you think. And then I love the idea of you being in the hospitality industry and learning how to run that B&B, because now it's about getting paid to work in that field while you're saving up money, and you guys eventually buy your own place. I love it. Love that vision. 844-747-2577. Now, I want to teach for just a second, because this is really relevant for Nicole. So, Nicole, I put you on hold, but I don't want you to hang up. Make sure she doesn't hang up. I want her to listen to this. So, one of the most important things we can do to speed up our careers, to speed up the dream, is to focus on developing and nurturing our connections. Now, some people would say your network. I just don't like the term networking. It feels gross, but it's networking. Your network. So if you look at your web of connections is what I refer to. All right. So if you're new to the program, when I say web of connections, I mean network. So your web of connections has the ability to be a game changer, difference maker, fast forward button, whatever you want to say. And I can tell you this, of all the successful men and women that I've been able to meet, to be friends with, to interview in the line of work that I'm in, if there's one thing they all share in common, and there's multiple things, but if there's one thing that has fast forwarded at times their progress, it is their ability to develop and nurture a web of connections. It's a game changer. Because many times you are one connection away from a massive fast forward button. One connection, one conversation. Now, where do those connections and conversations come from? They don't come from out of the blue and just fall in your lap. That's a bunch of garbage. It's not luck. It's intentionality. To meet people on purpose. To get in relationship with people on purpose, to help them on purpose, to build goodwill, to build up a big old bank account of connections, if you will, so that when you need to take a withdrawal, it's easy, it's effortless. because you have been depositing and depositing and depositing and depositing. So there's a great book that I read when I was a kid. I say kid, I was 17. It's by a legendary envelope entrepreneur by the name of Harvey Mackay. And this is a book that I recommend to everybody go get it today. It's probably going to cost you less than $5 used, probably paperback on Amazon.com or wherever you want to buy a used book. It's called Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. What a wonderful name. What a wonderful concept. Dig your well before you're thirsty. You know, back in the day, you know, when settlers would settle on land, they knew that they were going to have a water source over time. And so one of the first things they would do is dig a well. And then they could live off of a stream or a river source for a while, but eventually to develop their plat of land, develop their homestead, they would need to dig a well, because water, obviously, the life source. So it's one of the first things they would do. And I'm telling you, wherever you are in your career, if you're starting over, if you've never dug a well before, you've never really been intentional to develop a web of connections and then nurture your web of connections, you need to start doing that now, like today. And that's why I wrote the proximity principle. There's a whole chapter on it. So go get the book. It's super cheap at my website. You can get all 3 formats for $25. Go get it at Amazon, wherever books are sold. I write specifically on this in one of the chapters in the book. And the entire book is about getting around the right people and getting in the right places. But I read this book by Harvey Mackay, Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty, when I was 17 years of age. And I talk about it from time to time on this program. But I wanted to make sure that you understand, for some of you who are really frustrated and you feel like you're doing everything, Ken, I'm clear and I'm getting qualified, or I am qualified, but I can't get started or I can't get promoted. Go back down into that 3rd stage of my 7 stages to meaningful work, to living and working like no one else, and look at get connected and really understand the art of connecting. To understand that your web of connections can either limit you or it can lift you. It's either going to limit you or lift you, your web of connections. And it's either one or the other. There's no middle ground there. And if your web of connections is weak or not very wide or not very deep, it's limiting you. You are limited. However, if you begin to really develop the web of connections and go wide and deep, then your web of connections will always lift you. It doesn't mean that you may never have to wait or be patient. I don't want to sell a bunch of snake oil motivational gibberish. So there will be times we have to wait, no question. But even in the waiting, when we are developing and going in deep, and maybe we have to wait for one connection to develop to another connection, but I'm telling you, from your web of connections, you will be lifted. You will advance. So you cannot underestimate the power of your web of connections, your network. And so you've got to be intentional to always be adding, to always be adding and always be growing the relationship. Adding new relationships, growing the existing and new relationships. What are you doing for those people? How are you adding value to them? Are you thanking them on a regular basis? Are these living, breathing connections? You don't have to be on the phone all day long with these people. You never get any work done. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that you've got to be very intentional. And even in the pandemic and COVID, you can still build relationships. Is it as easy? No. But can it still be done? Yes. And you've got to do it. The signature idea in this book that I've been telling you about, Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty, was essentially that if you had to call somebody at 3 a.m. in the morning in any major area of your life, is there somebody you could call? That's a real test. You think about that. Whoa, Ken, I don't think I have anybody. Well, you need to, whether it be a doctor or a lawyer. And he was talking about all these areas of your life, your plumber, and so to have these relationships, deep relationships with friends, where when you ask something significant, it's not out of line, it's not out of the norm. There is a relationship, a foundation below the relationship. that allows you to feel comfortable asking and allows them to immediately say, you bet. What do you need? I'm in. And so for some of you who aren't getting the breakthrough, you aren't getting the opportunity, you aren't getting the promotion, one of the things you need to be looking at is the strength of your web of connections. Is it strong or is it weak? Because you're either limited or you're lifted. So get about the business of building while you're looking, while you're trying to get the promotion, while you're looking, trying to find an opportunity, whatever it is, build your web of connections and keep building it and keep maintaining it. And opportunities will always, always find you. I promise. Well, that's going to do it for today. But before I let you go, I want you to know that you matter and you do have what it takes. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.